Young Kamala rode a donkey from Tijuana. Met a man, Willie Brown, deep in the bowels of California. Nice to meet you, nice to know you. Would you like fries with your order? Come a bit closer, I got something I wanna show you. This is my spatula, this is my apron. My name is Kamala, you know what I'm saying. Cat, 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 I load the pallets in the back. Golden arch, I'm a wreck. Oh, Willie, you made a mess. Think fries are done, think fries are done. Oh, what have I done? I just needed a job. One day I'll become a lawyer. Think fries are done, one day I'll be a lawyer. Think fries are done, one day I'll be...
Christmas come early for you, Hogan. Well done. I don't know if you're behind all this with Kamala returning, but it's like a lot of things can turn in like 24 hours, and it just seems to be a lot of blood in the bloodstream now that Kamala has reemerged, cackling out of her wine box.
The joy and the vibes are back. That's what it's always been about, as you know. I mean, what an abject failure as a candidate, an abject failure as a senator, a horrible vice president, as we all know. What's so interesting is, as a comms person, you know this, everyone always wants to blame the comms people. They say it's our fault. Why is the messaging better? Democrats don't have a messaging problem. They've got a policy problem. You cannot sell a bad product. Just ask Kamala Harris. She's so bad at this. And after 4 years of failures that hurt all Americans, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed, they doubled down on the same policies and tried to run a re-election campaign on the failures. And what the most egregious part of it was, as we're all out here suffering, they slapped us all in the face by saying, what you're experiencing isn't really real. Oh, no, you're not paying more for gas and groceries. The economy's better. Oh, no, the border's sealed. It's not open. You don't have violent criminals flooding your communities, committing rape and murder and burglaries and homicide. I mean, give me a break. But to join Caroline and Stephen, one of my good friends, more of this, the better. Please. Keep it coming.
I wanted to do sort of that lead up because I know that they've worked with you and you've worked with them before, and they seemed thrilled about that. The White House seems to be yes,
very giddy.
The White House seems to be Hogan giddy about all of this. Give me like kind of an insight into from our perspective, it would seem like it's been the Democrats have done absolutely nothing to try and present a better alternative. And now even Hakeem Jeffries is banning his caucus from scurrying down to El Salvador for passionate night of lovemaking with MS-13 members after enough margaritas.
Yeah, you remember the Summer of Love, where our country was burning to the ground, and it was the esteemed Kamala Harris you just put up there, who didn't try and raise money to help the businesses that were lost or destroyed. She was trying to help the criminals who did the destruction, right? This is the same thing. Forget the American citizens who've experienced unspeakable crime and torture, not to mention drain on resources by these illegal aliens. Forget them. The Democrats are going to focus on the ones who are draining the resources, on the ones who are committing crimes against American citizens, making our city streets less safe. Just politically, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But to be this tone deaf as to where America is right now still is baffling to me. Now, I'm sure Democrats are going to find their footing between now and the midterms, maybe the next presidential, maybe. But if they're going to keep doing things like going to El Salvador to prop up an MS-13 gang member who beat his own wife and has a whole host of crimes on his rap sheet, and not stand up for those who are suffering here at home. And by the way, did I see a report that they actually stayed in a 5-star resort or something? The Democrats in some cushy deal. It's astounding to me.
There was salt on the rims of the glasses, Hogan. They had cherries. They had maraschino cherries put on the salty rim margarita glasses. Okay?
Salt on the rims of the glasses, and salt in the wounds of the American people who are looking for a way out of this. And Democrats just don't get it.
Salt for these libs. Okay, so you work very closely with Speaker Mike Johnson. A couple questions. One, has the Speaker encouraged Democrats to continue to visit romantically with MS-13 members?
Well, as you know, I do work a little bit with the Speaker, some folks up here at the House. I don't speak on behalf of Mike Johnson. However, I think everyone on our side of the aisle is quite excited about the political tact that these Democrats are taking. As I said, they don't have a messaging problem; they've got a policy problem. So going down to support criminals, I mean, more, please. Our margins are so slim in the House, and as you know, history will most likely repeat itself at some point where the party in power loses the midterms. So the president could have a problem on his hands if the House is taken over by Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats. But I'm telling you, it's looking more and more like history is not going to repeat itself in these midterms because of images you have on your screen right now with just idiots going down in support of criminals. I just don't get it.
That's a great point that you bring up because there are slim margins. The reason the margins are so slim is not because of a constitutional republic, but because of an insane and what should be absolutely illegal, immoral act that happens with the census where we don't ask about American citizenship.
Yeah.
Instead, we allow criminal aliens to give 10 or 20 extra House seats to Democrats who represent them. And this is a horrible incentive, Hogan. Why hasn't this been fixed by the speaker?
Well, I'll tell you, I guess Commerce still does the census, if I'm not mistaken. I guarantee you they're going to be looking at that. I think the first Trump administration handled a lot of this, and these types of things are problematic just for the reasons you mentioned. As the House continues to focus on reconciliation and the one big beautiful bill so we can get the energy policy right, the tax cuts remain in place, close the border, all the things we want there. I guarantee you these are things we're going to look at once we get past that big fight, because quite frankly, it's ridiculous to allow counting of people who aren't in this country legally, who have no right to be here whatsoever, and you're determining representation on people, thanks to the Trump administration, who are here now but are going to be gone pretty soon, which takes the whole numbers game of how you count the census and changes it all. So the quicker we can figure that piece out, I think the better off we'll be too, because there's no reason we should be counting those people.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's constant complaining that there's slim majorities, but the way to fix those would be to actually fix our census and count only American citizens, and then Democrats lose 20 seats. And that's just a matter of like basic math.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And this has been so well documented now because this wasn't in real time. No, everyone was complaining and concerned, but they don't understand why. This is why your show and others like you are so good at this, because you're explaining an issue that most people are like, who cares? Just count people for the census. What it actually does is it changes the balance of power in the chambers that represent America, which means the policies you want enacted will not get enacted because you don't have proper representation because they miscounted the census in the first place. This is a fundamental fact that we have to change across this country because the American people just deserve better.
So you're saying that the speaker is looking into this and this is a priority item?
I know the House is absolutely looking into this. They want to change this for sure.
That would be great because people wonder like why we elect guys like we elect Trump and we elect the policies of President Trump and then none of them get enacted right into law. And then all the executive orders get undone right by the next lib that gets in there. And we wonder what's the disconnect there exactly? And the disconnect is that they've rigged it. They've rigged the game and they've rigged the representation. Because Trump wins the popular vote, he wins all 7 swing states, and then we have a 1-seat majority in the House, and everyone's saying, well, you can't really govern with a 1-seat majority. How's that happen? What's the misconnect here? And the misconnect is fraud, obviously.
Of course. And I will tell you, interestingly enough, because I worked in the first Trump admin where we had like Paul Ryan as a speaker actively working against the border policies we were trying to get done, of course.
It's good to remind people of that. Thank you, Hogan. It's good to remind people of that.
They worked against Trump in the first administration. This is different. Both Leader Thune and Speaker Mike Johnson are on the same page. And you've heard the speaker say publicly many times, Trump calls the plays and I run them. So way different than how it was when I was over at the White House trying to fight against a Republican-controlled House that wanted nothing to do with Trump policies. Now the swing state wins. Now the mandate's in place. So once reconciliation happens, this is part of the Trump agenda. And both chambers, the House and the Senate, really do want to accomplish these things on behalf of the American people. And by the way, they ran on and won on the America First principles and policies as well. So they understand what they've got to do to deliver. And as you said, 150 some odd executive orders somewhere in there, however many there are to this point, record speed he's doing. But with cuts from DOGE and other things, the speaker also publicly on the record has said many times, I want them to qualify it, quantify it, and I will codify it. So This time, different than last, there will be an effort from the House side to codify the things Trump is doing so that the next president, with the stroke of a pen, can't erase those things on day one.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. And just as a preview and a final question here, I know this is the question of the hour. What's that bill going to look like? What can we expect to see put in that bill? And how closely are you working with the Republican Senate to make sure that we can get this thing actually across the finish line?
Well, I'll tell you, Trump speed is something that we all talk about. And until you've experienced it, it's hard to quite fathom, especially in Washington, D.C. But Trump moves at a pace like nobody I've ever seen before in politics. He never sleeps. He never rests. He wants to accomplish things for the American people. Congress is built to move slowly. The Senate's built to move slowly. But I'll tell you, they're trying to get this thing done by Memorial Day. That's the fastest this body has ever moved, in large part because the speaker and the leadership saw this coming. And they've been working on this stuff behind the scenes for the last year and change. So now the time the markup is happening, this is moving much faster than anyone thought possible. And to the average voter out there, most Americans, people who love you and listen to you, they're like, why is this happening faster? It's hard to describe, but it's faster than it's ever happened before because the Republican Congress and because the White House are in lockstep. They want to get this done together. So they're working with all of these members to accomplish exactly what they ran on and won on. And the reconciliation bill, while one big, beautiful bill, as you know, you run it through reconciliation so you don't need Democrat votes. So you can get all the Republicans in lockstep.
Yep.
So be watching for your membership. Be watching for the folks who represent you, those who are making the most noise. A couple of people defect, and we got a whole disaster on our hands. That's why we're trying to work to keep everyone on the same page to get it done, because there's just no alternative. If we don't govern now and accomplish what we said we would accomplish for the American people, we don't deserve to hold office anymore. But I got to tell you, I think all these things are going to come to fruition because they understand how important it is.
Well, we have Senator Mike Lee on right after you. He's actually in the green room right now listening to you, Hogan. So I'm sure he will follow right up on that.
He knows a little. He knows a little something about it. And he's been one of the strongest advocates for Trump too for a long time. He's great.
That's exactly right. Very briefly, because it is breaking news off the top of the show, Tulsi Gabbard alluding to Dr. Fauci's lies to Congress as something that needs to be investigated and is being investigated. Can you give us any insight?
Listen, this is so important because I was just dealing with Fauci during the start of COVID in the White House, and I watched people around the table would ask him questions he couldn't answer that were simple questions that if he actually was an expert and knew all these things, it was, remember, this was a time when this was unforeseen. It was unprecedented. It was straight out of China. No one knew what to do. And so we relied on people who lied to us. Fauci lied to Donald Trump. He lied to members of the staff consistently. And now we find out through so many amazing members on both the House and Senate side, he's lied to the chambers as well. So who knows where this goes? But I'm telling you, I think that guy's in a lot of trouble, and he should be.
Wow. Well, can you just really quick follow up? Can you elucidate like what a lie that you personally witnessed Dr. Fauci tell?
He would say things about masks, for example, and he would say something like, "Well, you have to wear a mask if you have it, but if you're asymptomatic, where you have it, you don't need a mask." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're telling me you may not know you have it, but you don't need a mask? Well, you wouldn't know you had it. So half the people have to wear masks and the other half don't? Like, I don't understand." "No, you're not listening, Hogan. You're not listening. Masks." And I'm like, "No, you're not listening. If you say you need a mask, people are going to have to wear masks." And he goes, No, you don't need a mask for half of the people." And then we find out later that the reason he was saying that is because he wanted to make sure his healthcare people had masks and the American public didn't. It also exposed, of course, a massive reliance on China, which we now have got to get rid of thanks to Donald Trump as well. And we're working on that too. But he was so full of it from start to finish. It was egregious and criminal.
So you're saying that Dr. Fauci is potentially in trouble and that we may see some further action inside of the House to assist in the investigation of Dr. Fauci?
I hope. I've not heard chatter about it, but every day someone brings up his name, I know people are thinking about him and what he did to America, because this is going to be generational. I mean, the impacts of what he did to our families, to our children, to our education level for kids, this is going to be an impact felt on our society, on this country for generations. And he's the author of it. And it's a real problem.
Yeah, it's on par with the open border. You're exactly right.
It's also two words in the Trump administration I care about: the transparency, which we're getting, which is great. But how many times does the second word follow? The accountability. Trump is finding out who's doing the wrong, and then he's saying, all right, you're at the very least losing your job, or we may come after you criminally and prosecute you for violation of all types of things. So it's the transparency, yes, but the accountability that follows, I think, is really important. And it's up to Congress and the Senate to make sure that happens as well.
Y'all don't understand that there's like there are some Sith Lords in Washington, D.C. Hogan Gidley's one of them. Just like people behind the scenes that like really make it happen and are cool. Okay. They have double lightsabers. They're cool, right? And they're red lightsabers. It's really neat, very scary. Okay. They walk around and they're the good guys though. Like they actually make it happen. Hogan's just one of those guys. All right. And DC can't move without it. He's just one of the good guys. All right. Can't tell you all the stories, but let me tell you, guys got a lightsaber, right? Big red lightsaber.
You get me out of the tie, do some bourbon for a late night edition of Benny's show, and we'll go online and do it that way.
The meme makers, the professional meme makers that we employ on this channel, only show to do this with Hogan, are already thinking about like Darth Maul memes for you. So, all right, it's happening. Thank you very much, Hogan. We'll get you a custom stinger next time you're on the program with the Darth Maul intro. Okay.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you.
Doing great. Appreciate it.
All right.